Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. For those who don't know me, I'm Kevin Waters, Aston Martin's Director of Communications. Next week will mark an historic moment for Aston Martin as we unveil our first Formula One car in over 60 years. To explain what that means for the brand and what the Aston Martin Cognizant Formula One team's goals and aspirations are for you for the 2021 season and beyond, can I introduce you to Aston Martin Cognizant Formula One team CEO and team principal, Otmar Szafneuar. Thank you, Otmar. So we'll open it up to questions now. Who wants to start?
Yeah, I'll start if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it, Damien.
Otmar, thanks for sharing your time with us. I really appreciate it. What does this mean in terms of how you're going to face this year? Last year was incredibly competitive in the midfield. You're only 7 points shy of McLaren at the end of the day. How do you see yourself placed this year in terms of are you looking for perhaps second in the championship? Do you think that's a reasonable attempt that you can be on the heels of Red Bull, or do you see McLaren as your main competitors for this season?
I think you're absolutely right, Damon. It was very competitive in the midfield last year. I see the same thing happening this year. Towards the beginning of last year, I think we were closer to Red Bull than towards the end. They seem to traditionally develop very quicker in the season than the competition, and not so much over the winter for whatever reasons. So my anticipation is that if we come out as strong as we finished last year, and we've done a good job over the winter, we should be a little bit closer to Red Bull. But I anticipate those people around us, McLaren, Ferrari, Renault, they'll all do a good job over the winter. You may not know, but the FIA made some drastic changes to the floor, as well as to the rear brake ducts and the strakes, in order to reduce downforce, and they did a very good job in reducing the amount of downforce, actually too good. So it all depends on how we did clawing some of that performance back relative to our competition. So I anticipate it's going to be a pretty good fight in the midfield, and it should be difficult for us, but a challenge that we're obviously here to undertake, and we relish. But I think for the fans, it should be great to watch.
Thanks, Otmar. Have we got any more questions? I'm sure you've got a few questions about our new driver lineup.
Yeah, just before we get on to the drivers, quick one again to Omar, just to follow up a little bit on the question that Mike put to you earlier about the calendar. The other day, recently, Stefano Domenicali, he said he hasn't ruled out the possibility still of 25 races, with the talk of a second US Grand Prix, either Miami or Indy or even Vegas.
I hope he didn't mean this year, Damien.
Well, no, not this year, not this year. But he said that there will be finalisation of discussion this year for future. Do you think this could happen again if it was required, in terms of doing 23 races in a as it is at the moment, 23 races in a bubble format, and how much, because that was pretty stressful last year, given it was only 18 races or so on families and everyone.
Yes,
how far do you think we could go?
Yeah, 17, and we started quite late. If I remember, we started the first week of July, and we went to about mid-December. And you're absolutely right. It does take its toll on the families, as well as the people traveling that are away from their families. And we've got to make sure that we strike a good balance between the number of races and the well-being of all those people traveling. If we have the time to start maybe a little bit earlier and go a little bit later, then it's not as intense. The trouble is when we have either back-to-back races or triple headers, and we loathe triple headers because, I'm fortunate and privileged to go to a Grand Prix either on a Wednesday or a Thursday in preparation, and then leave either Sunday night or Monday. So I get some time in between, even though they're triple headers. but most of the mechanics and engineers, they leave on a Monday and then depart on a Monday. So if you have a triple header, it's Monday to Monday to Monday to Monday to Monday. You don't get any time off, and that's not good for anybody. So we've got to, even if we go to 25 races, I think the key is that we curtail or don't have any of these back-to-back or triple headers. And I think, I mean, I don't know, but I would imagine that's good for the fans as well. You know, to have a weekend off and then you have Formula One again, and you've got that little bit of pent-up demand from week to week.
Would you then, on that, given the length of the calendar, would you sacrifice the August summer break in exchange for to guarantee that we don't have triple headers?
That's a good question, and so far, most teams, including Stefano, have wanted to keep the summer break, and I think the reason for that is it's good to, in the middle, recharge your batteries. So even though it's really, really hard leading up, or it's going to be really hard thereafter, at least you got that time with your family. You know, you can do whatever recharge your battery means. For some people, that means lie on the beach. Others read a book or go cycling or exercise or whatever they do. I think that's really important. And I believe that once we sacrifice that summer break, we'll never get it back. We'll end up with 26 races and one in the summer break.
Richard,
so
you've got, sorry,
personal opinion, it's really, really important to keep that summer break. And I often push for also having a break around the holiday period, the Christmas time. But everybody's against that because that's a critical time for building next year's car. And no one wants to take that break. But I believe if we take that break in the winter, all we do is push the development time a little bit back, and you stop your development and start your build a little bit earlier, and you get it done. But I'm in the minority.
You mentioned just you touched briefly before a little bit about obviously the history of the team going right back to Jordan's days and that sort of thing down there at Silverstone. How is has the dynamics changed with inside the company with the way that the team operates now that it's a manufacturer team? It's no longer the little team that could. You're actually one of the big manufacturers now, competing in the sport. Has that changed the attitude and the feeling around the factory, or is it still business as usual for the guys at Silverstone?
I think it's a little bit of a combination of the two. You know, it can't be business as usual because, like you say, we now have the funding of the bigger teams, not quite to the same level, but soon we won't be far off. Mainly due to the cost cap coming down in the next few years, which will cap how much they can spend, as well as us having further resources at our disposal. So when you add the two, we're going to get a lot closer to the bigger teams. However, what we can't lose here is that built-in efficiency that we've always had. And which is partly my job, is to make sure we don't lose that efficient mindset that we have here. And we've got to continue with that, because if you're efficient and you have more resource at your disposal and you apply that efficiency, your output is greater. And we've got to make sure that, we don't lose that efficiency, and every bit of resource or extra resource we have, we plow into making the car go faster in the way that we know how. And that should bode really well for our on-track performance. So I think that's the key, Damien, is yes, we're growing, and yes, we're getting more resource, but we should never, never, never be wasteful and lose our efficiency. It's easier said than done, but if you don't plan to do it, you'll never do it. So at least we've planned to do it, and we'll work hard to make sure that we keep that, whatever you said, punching above our weight. I know you didn't say it, but a lot of people do. But that little team that could. We need to be that big team that could.
Sorry, just on that, just to wrap up that, then likewise, having Sebastian Vettel, a 4-time world champion, in the team, how is that? What kind of effect has that had on the team as well? There's a similar question to the first one, but driver rather than the manufacturer side.
Yeah, so one of the main reasons that we took the opportunity to work with Seb when the opportunity presented itself is, if you are a four-time world champion, you gain experience as to how and what you have to do that. And if you haven't won a world championship, you think you know what it takes, but it's really good to shortcut the process to know exactly what it takes. And Seb is, it's only at the margin where he's helping us and asking the right questions. Did you think of this? We used to do it like this here. These guys over here do it like this. Why are you doing it like this? And maybe 80% of the time we have good answers and say, yeah, we do it like this for this and this and this reason. And he says, well, I didn't think of that, but yeah, that's the way it should be done. And then 20, 30% of the time we learn from him and say, we could do it a little bit better here and a little bit better there. And as you know, in Formula One, it takes 1,000 little things to do better, and then that add up to a little bit more performance on track. And that's what it takes. And there's all sorts of things that we're learning from Seb as to, what he used to do and at different places. I'll give you one example. Safety car restart when you're leading the race. What should you be doing? And did we think of that? Not often. Should we have? Probably. We had one opportunity last year where we did have not a safety car restart, but a red flag restart leading the race. And we should have thought of that before. We ended up third. We would have had a chance to win. It's those little things that, he will, because for him, safety car restart, I'm leading the race. That probably happens 60% of the time, 70% of the time. So he's got to think about it. He's got to be ready. He's got to know exactly what to do so nobody overtakes him at the restart. That's just one example of the types of things that he can bring.